So, when it comes to Alan, he is one of the strongest beings in the invincible universe, and like many other characters, his story is very unique. In the past, his species, the Unipans, were almost completely wiped out after the Viltrumites destroyed their home planet Unipa during their campaign to conquer planets and add them to their empire. So, the Viltrumites destroyed Unopa because the Unipans rebelled against them. After the destruction of their home planet, the Unipans were forced to create breeding camps for themselves to prevent their species' extinction. Only known as Alan, he was born at one of these breeding camps, and as a result, he never knew who his father was. He was also the only successful result of the Unipan breeding program, because all the other results had multiple genetic defects, making him the only super Unipan. One of Alan's earliest missions involved him fighting Viltrumites on another planet, which resulted in not only his near-death defeat, but also the breeding camp project
Ne
being
yiyeceksin?
shut down. Alan eventually found
Şarkı
work
var.
as an
Ben şarkı çıkardım
evaluation
bunda.
officer for the
Şarkı var.
Coalition of Planets, a secret anti-Viltrumite alliance dedicated to stopping the Empire's conquest of the galaxy. He traveled between planets, challenging their mightiest inhabitants to ensure they had warriors strong enough to defend them against Viltrumite threats. Whilst working for the Coalition of Planets, Alan visited Earth several times incorrectly, believing he was visiting a similarly named planet called Ura. Most of these visits involved him clashing with Omni-Man as the representative of Earth in his attempts to evaluate the planet's strength to defend itself. Due to his faulty belief that he was evaluating Uruf instead and thus never closely checking his records, Alan never realized that Nolan was a Viltrumite until much later. During one of his recent visits to Earth, he was noticed, and Invincible was told to fight him off, so Invincible went to space and was attacked from behind. Alan communicated via telepathy, and, believing that he was Omni-Man, exclaimed to him that he had shaved the mustache. Invincible fought with Alan, sending him towards a satellite which was thrown back at him. Mark was punched and teased. Alan says that if he was protecting the planet, then he was sorry for their people. Invincible took a moment to breathe and made Alan realize that he was not the same person who had fought him years ago. Invincible sent him crashing into the moon, which only made him laugh. When Invincible tells him he only wants to talk, Alan asks him if he is using his time out, which confuses Invincible. However, Alan mentions that he does not make the rules and grabs a rock for both of them to sit on. He tells Invincible that he is an evaluation officer for the Coalition of Planets and is making sure that there is somebody capable of defending them. Invincible told him he did not know what he meant, but Alan told him that the planet Europe was on his list, which made Invincible tell him that he had gotten the planet wrong since they were on Earth. Alan, embarrassed by his mistake, commented that he was in trouble and introduced himself. Invincible presented himself, which makes Alan tell him that the name was optimistic since he believed he was pretty vincible, after which he flew off, presumably returning to the Coalition. Invincible is left confused and goes to outer space. Months later, Mark is in space, ready to punch his father, but is met by Alan the alien. He tells him that when he told the Coalition of Planets he had been going to Earth instead of Europe, they had lost their minds and let him know there was a Viltrumite on his planet, which was marked for Viltrumite takeover. Mark lands on the moon and tells him to sit down while he explains. Alan is confused that Mark is a Viltrumite, but does not work for them, and cannot believe Omni-Man had just left, since Viltrumites did not give up that easily and were relentless, having destroyed his world when they fought back. Alan literally cannot picture what Mark was going through.
With a huge amount of lava, as well as a bunch of cool new rocks, which I have already managed to partially collect. I came to
What Mark was going through, since his people had to create breeding camps just to stop them from going extinct. He tells Mark that the Coalition of Planets would want to hear about him, since the Coalition was trying to unite enough worlds to stop the Viltrumite Empire, and mentions Mark could be the advantage they were looking for. He tells him that the Viltrumites would come back for him, and asks him his plans, to which Mark responds that after overwhelmed by Frag and his children. Alan soon noticed that most of their forces were getting easily destroyed by Frag's children, so they decided to retreat. They then take the fight to Earth, but the pure-blooded Viltrumites also decided to help Alan and the Coalition, after Nolan told them about the threat that Frag poses to Earth. Soon their final battle started. His elite soldiers were easily able to kill dozens of Thrag's children, but he soon notices that his friend Nolan is in a near-death state after getting mutilated by Thrag. He rushes to save him, but is stopped by Thrag's children. Soon Eve comes to rescue Nolan and after he fails to stop Mark from solving out intergalactic problems, a coalition of planets gets defeated, and Alan realizes that they don't need the coalition of planets anymore. After this, we don't know what happened to Alan, but I think he